We're in part one of our series through missional community. Missional community is not easy. I think you are learning that now, but it's something that we are created for, and it's something that the world desperately needs. Chris, did I summarize this correctly?
That's pretty good, yeah.
Thank you.
Although some find it really easy. Like it's exactly what they needed.
Like what kind of people?
There's been people who joined my neighborhood church who were immediately and not that we're doing the full aspect of missional community at all, but we're trying to tap into it, and it was immediately this is exactly what I've been longing for in my life. So we see the call of Jesus, and it's really demanding, and we're not all living up to that in the full scale and trying to figure out how to do that, but the versions we do can be really immediately refreshing and easy, and for others of us, there's aspects of it that are really hard, really difficult to be okay. I'm going to add this to my schedule. How?
Right.
How?
Well, I especially, it's something that I can still hear in the back of my mind. I don't want to say it resonates with me because I'm not sure if I agree with it, but something that stuck with me is that you said Jesus really wants us to be this to be the most important thing.
Yeah.
The thing we prioritize over everything else. And Jesus said that several times.
Yeah.
Leave your father and mother, leave your brother and sister, you got to leave all your stuff, and you need to follow me. And I just go, I don't know how I can and how I do and maybe it's because I'm steeped in this individualistic culture. Do you have any pointers for us to figure out how we can move away from individualism? I think there's even some of us that still don't even know that that this is actually, the Western world that we live in, that we swim in, is super individualistic. How do we get out of that?
I didn't even know what that word meant until, 10, 15 years ago when I started doing missions trips and experience culture shock from different cultures that weren't individualistic.
Yeah.
And that's what taught me what individualism was. Because when all you've lived is America, you don't even know you're individualistic or what that means until you have experience and exposure to communal cultures that share everything, that live together every day, and that's just a form. We go to work, open our garage door, go to work, come back, close our garage door, turn on the TV, eat our family with our nuclear family, eat our dinner, and it's these isolated, individualistic experiences, and we brought that into our faith, which our faith was never meant to be that. Our all the examples of our faith is it's a team sport, not an individual sport, and it's transformation is a group journey, not an individual journey, is what we see throughout Scripture.
And it's
right?
so, and it's going to be swimming against the stream of everything we've learned. But how is this the next step in what we've experienced over the last 30 years, for me, many more years. No, also 30 years, because it was a while after I became an adult, of living in church and being really part of a church and being fully invested in church and making that part of our weekend, maybe even during the week. How is this the next level? What do you hope for people?
Yeah, my hope for people is that is just in the beginning that we have the courage to try it, to try things, to get uncomfortable a little bit, and figure out what missional community could look like in each of our lives.
I come to church to be comfortable, Chris, not to be uncomfortable.
Well, that's the norm of American church experience, and we both have many years of designing church experiences to make it as comfortable for people as possible, right? And to open the door as wide as possible to make sure as many people enjoy this experience without requiring anything of them. Because if you start to require something of them, then people start to say no.
Just show up for this 1 hour a week, once or twice a month.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Now most churches have 5% of people-ish that are going deeper and living in community. They're trying to do this or doing this. So it exists, but it's usually the extreme minority within any given church. The majority of American churchgoers I go to 1.5 Sunday services a month, and that was always my experience, right? That's normal for all of us. And so this call of Jesus and what we see in the Gospels is so radically different from that it's it is overwhelmingly challenging, like a bit much, a little bit. When you just, like, I sat with these scriptures and just was like, how do I even apply this to today? Because it seems so radical.
It really does.
It is so
sound
radical.
I don't mind it, but it seems a little unattainable. So I'm glad that we're talking about this not only today, but in subsequent messages as well. Because for instance, I like that you said it is as simple as maybe saying no to certain things in order to make room for the yes that Jesus has for us. I don't know if you said it like that, but what are
That
some
sounded
things?
great, so I'm sure I did.
Thank
sure
you.
I said it.
You can write that down. What would be perhaps a modern day distraction that you would say this may be a good one to explore, to remove from your life? What would that, or maybe what has it been for you in your life?
Oh my gosh, kids sports. And I know there's a lot of people listening who don't have kids, and so that doesn't apply to them. But for those of us who do, I mean, like, sports have invaded Sunday morning. Used to be like kids sports were never Sunday morning. It was like Saturday or maybe Sunday afternoon. And now it's all times, right? And they're, you have to like keep up with the Joneses in terms of your kid's athletic situation. Otherwise they fall way behind, and then they can't compete and they can't play in high school. And like, it's gotten out of control. But it really it's a yes that many parents give. But then that when we say, okay, we're gonna like prioritize missional community, when, how?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying anyone should like not do sports with their kids. I'm not saying that as a rule. I'm just using it as an example of like, gosh, if we're saying yes to everything in life, we're really saying no to missional community. I mean, you gotta pick what you're gonna prioritize.
Yeah. So
I have to pick what I'm gonna prioritize, and it's difficult.
I feel like it's a lot of not just opening yourself up to really remembering the presence of God, but also remembering the presence of others, and especially people not like us. And I mean, I love you all, and many of you I have a lot in common with, but then there's also some of you who I don't. And, one pastor once told me that community is where the person you like the least shows up the most. And I think that's what shapes us more and more into the person that Jesus wants me to be, wants you to be, because we need to be in each other's lives. And not in a introvert, extrovert kind of way, like you all need to become extroverts, but to say, no, let's build these relationships so we can see each other. You talked a lot about like the depression and the loneliness that's so prevalent in our society. That's really difficult. One last question. A lot of what you talked about today seems connected to first century living in a different part of the world versus like it feels so disconnected from our Western reality with bank accounts and mortgages and kids' activities and stuff like that. So where do we even start?
Well, for us, as I said, I think we're excited and motivated and really feeling encouraged by the starting point of Neighborhood Church. Like, I think we've seen the results of it so far, and it's like, let's double down on that because it's working. It's a great first step for someone to step into something that's probably has the potential to resemble missional community more than a typical church experience. And then, but it's not an overwhelming ask. It's not every Sunday. It's not, you know what I mean? It's something that gets us going, that I think is really working and is moving in the direction that I think Jesus called us to. But I think that your question is spot on in the sense of like, how do we do this now? We live in such a different world and things work so differently. I think that's our challenge, is to figure that out together.
Yeah.
And I think that's the exciting part too, is we get to try to figure this out, because I think we have a responsibility to figure it out and respond to the call and not always take the easy way, but really dig in and try to figure out, okay, what could this look like now?
I like that. Well, what a challenge for us, for all of us to say, I'm going to step into some discomfort perhaps and learn what Neighborhood Church, for instance, is like. And I know that there's many of you who say, I've never turned on my camera even for Neighborhood Church Online. I have never even looked on their website to see where the homes are in my neighborhood in the East Bay. So perhaps that could be your challenge before you log off, before you go and do your next activity, to just take a look and perhaps set your intention to stepping out into some discomfort, to experience a world or a way of living that Jesus prescribed and is still valid today. I'm so glad you were here. I'm so proud of you. I hope to see you again next time.